I have to be honest with you, when you sent over the reading list for this deep dive, I thought you made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting the usual suspects, maybe a biography of a tech mogul, a breakdown of modern agile management, something from, the Harvard Business Review.
And instead, you got a stack of translations from the 14th century.
Exactly. I'm looking at this title, Nihayat ala vai funun al-adab, which translates to The Ultimate Ambition in the Arts of Erudition.
It's a mouthful.
It sounds less like a management handbook and more like something Indiana Jones would be trying to steal from a temple.
It does have that vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But this is actually one of the most comprehensive encyclopedias ever written. It was compiled by a man named Shihab al-Din al-Nuwari in Cairo, right around the 1320s.
Okay.
And what we're looking at today, specifically Volume 6, is what's known as a mirror for princes.
Mirror for Princes. That's a genre, right? I've heard that term.
It is. It's essentially a literary genre that serves as an instruction manual for kings, sultans, and caliphs.
Right.
But if you strip away the royal titles and the references to, swords and horses, what you left with is a C-suite executive handbook for running a high-stakes organization in a volatile market.
That is exactly what struck me. We are going to talk about hiring, firing, market confidence, leadership psychology. It's all in there.
It's all there.
But before we get into the how-to, I think we need to set the scene a little bit. Because the person writing this and the people he was writing for, they weren't your typical monarchs. We're talking about the Mamluk era.
This is a crucial piece of context. The Mamluks were unique in history. The word Mamluk literally means owned or slave.
Owned. Wow.
These were rulers who started their lives as slave soldiers, usually imported from the Turkic steppes or the Caucasus.
Yeah.
They were purchased as boys, trained in the absolute elite arts of war and governance, and then manumitted free to serve the state.
And eventually they overthrew their masters.
And became the masters themselves.
Which is wild. You have a dynasty of kings who have no royal blood. They are, by definition, self-made men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that creates a massive chip on the shoulder of the entire political system. I mean, if you aren't the son of the king by blood right, how do you justify your rule?
Right. How do you?
You justify it through competence, through merit. So this manual we're diving into isn't just how to be a king. It's how to survive when your only claim to power is that you are better at the job than anyone else.
That raises the stakes immensely. So let's jump into the first major section of our analysis. I'm calling this the resume of the perfect ruler.
The job description.
Yes. Al-Nuwayri lays out the prerequisites. If you were posting a job listing for Sultan on LinkedIn in 1320 Cairo, what are the requirements?
Well, the text immediately grapples with that tension we just mentioned, lineage versus capability.
Okay.
The traditional view, going back centuries in Islamic political thought, was that the imam, or the caliph, had to be from the tribe of Quraysh, the tribe of the Prophet Muhammad.
A bloodline requirement.
It was. But the Mamluks, they aren't Quraysh.
Right. They're from the Eurasian steppe.
Precisely. So al-Nuwari, navigating this delicate political reality, he acknowledges the tradition of lineage, but then he pivots hard to the practical traits.
Okay, so what does he pivot to?
He says, effectively, blood is nice, but if you want the state to function, you need two things, adala and ilm, justice and knowledge.
Let's unpack knowledge first, because he's not saying the king needs to be a professor, right? He's not asking for a PhD.
Oh, no, it's not academic knowledge for the sake of trivia. It's functional literacy of the world. Think about it. A leader is essentially a decision-making engine. Information comes in, decisions go out. If the leader is ignorant, if they don't know the law, if they don't know history, if they don't understand the geography of their neighbors, they cannot process that information independently.
They become dependent on their staff.
Worse, they become a puppet. If I'm an ignorant king and my advisor tells me, "Sire, the peasants in the north are rebelling, we must send the army," I have to believe him.
You have no way to check.
No way to verify. Ilm gives the leader the ability to audit their own organization. It's the difference between a CEO who understands the code base and one who just nods when the CTO speaks.
That makes perfect sense. You need enough knowledge to call bluff.
Yes.
And then the second pillar is justice, or adala. But the text pairs this with something very visceral, courage.
You cannot have justice without courage. That is the Mamluk reality. You can be the fairest person in the world, but if you are a coward, you cannot enforce that fairness.
Right.
The king is the ultimate defense of the realm. If the Mongols are at the gates, and in this time period that was a very real threat,
A constant threat.
and a king is hiding under the table, the social contract just dissolves.
So the resume is smart enough to audit your team, just enough to be trusted, and brave enough to fight.
That's the foundation.
But what I found even more compelling were the anti-traits, the red flag.
The disqualifiers.
Yes.
The text quotes Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, the founder of the Umayyad Caliphate. He was known as a master politician, very pragmatic, very shrewd, a fascinating figure.
And he lists 5 traits that, if a leader has them, basically guarantee the state will fail.
And this list is devastating because it is so psychological. It's not about bad strategy. It's about character flaws that destroy the machinery of leadership.
Let's go through them one by one, because I think everyone listening is going to recognize a boss they've had in these descriptions.
Sure is it.
The first one is lying.
If a leader lies, no promise can be trusted. It sounds like a Sunday school lesson, but think about the mechanics of power. Leadership is fundamentally a transaction of trust.
Okay.
I give you my loyalty, my labor, maybe even my life, based on a promise of a future outcome. Work hard and you'll get a bonus. Fight for me and I'll protect your family.
If you lie, you break the feedback loop.
You destroy the currency of the realm, not the gold coins, but the word of the state. If I can't predict your reaction because you are dishonest, I stop investing in our relationship.
You just go into self-preservation mode.
Exactly. A lying CEO creates a company of mercenaries who are just trying to loot the building before it burns down.
Wow. Which leads perfectly to the second red flag. Miserliness. Stinginess.
This was a cardinal sin in the Mamluk world. The Sultan's power was built on patronage. You had to feed the army, reward the poets, build the mosques, and host the feasts.
But isn't being frugal good? We hear about CEOs who fly economy class and save money.
There's a huge difference between frugality and miserliness. Frugality is not wasting resources. Miserliness is withholding what is due.
Okay.
The text says, if they are stingy, people won't advise them or work for them. Think about that mechanism. If I know you are going to hoard the credit and the rewards, why would I bring you my best idea?
I wouldn't. I'd keep it for myself, or I'd take it to a competitor.
Precisely. A stingy leader creates an information vacuum. Advisors stop advising because there is no return on investment for their loyalty. The miserly king ends up alone, sitting on a pile of gold that nobody will help him defend.
The third one hit close to home for anyone who has worked in a high-stress office. Sharpness or constant anger.
The term implies volatility. A leader who is sharp or ill-tempered.
Why is this a disqualifier? I mean, some people think an angry boss is a strong boss. You know, the table-slamming type.
It's a disaster for intelligence gathering. It's that simple. If I am afraid that you are going to scream at me or fire me or belittle me when I bring you bad news, what do?
You stop bringing bad news.
I stop bringing you bad news. I filter everything. I tell you what you want to hear to avoid the explosion.
So the angry leader creates a reality distortion field around themselves. They think everything is fine because everyone is too scared to tell them the building is on fire.
That's it, exactly. And by the time the fire reaches the corner office, it's too late to put it out. Anger blinds the leader to reality.
Number 4 is envy. And this one seemed weird to me initially. Why would a king be envious? He's a king. He has everything.
It's the small man syndrome. It happens when a leader is insecure. They shouldn't be jealous of their subjects, but you see it all the time.
Like what?
A manager who is jealous of a subordinate who is more popular with the team. A CEO who is jealous of a founder who gets more press.
So they sabotage their own people.
Yes. Muawiyah's point is that a leader should see the success of their people as their own success. If you are envious, you will cap the growth of your own organization just to make sure no one outshines you.
You will cut down the tall poppies in your own garden.
Exactly.
And finally, number 5, cowardice.
Which brings us right back to the prerequisite. If you are afraid of the enemy, you cannot lead the defense. But it's also moral cowardice.
What do you mean by that?
The fear of making a hard decision, the fear of taking responsibility. If the team sees the leader panic, the panic spreads like a virus.
So if you're a liar, cheap, angry, jealous, or a chicken, don't apply for the job.
In al-Zawahiri's view, you are already fired. The state just hasn't collapsed yet.
Now, there's a nuance here I want to push on. We want a leader who isn't angry, who is approachable.
Right.
But the text also has the section on joking, Maza, and it basically says, don't be the class clown.
This is the concept of awe, dignity, or gravitas. It's a very difficult balance to strike.
Yeah.
The text isn't saying you have to be a statue, but it warns that excessive familiarity breeds contempt.
There's a specific anecdote about a king who joked too much. Can you tell that story?
Right. So he was a prankster. He loved to laugh. He loved to be one of the guys. He thought it built rapport. He thought my people love me because I'm fun.
The cool boss trap.
The cool boss trap, exactly. But then a crisis happened. He needed to give a stern life or death order. And nobody moved.
They didn't take him seriously.
They couldn't. They had seen him acting the fool so many times that they couldn't see him as the commander.
That is a harsh lesson. You can be friendly, but you can't be a buddy.
There has to be a distance, a reserve. If you are laughing at everyone's jokes and playing pranks, you lose the moral authority to judge when things go wrong.
So that about...
It's the resource you draw upon when you need to make a hard call. If you spend it all on cheap laughs, the account is empty when you need it.
Okay, let's pivot. We've hired our king. He's brave, he's smart, he's serious, but not angry. Now we need to look at how he actually runs the economy. This is section 2, the ecology of justice.
This is, in my opinion, the most profound part of the entire text. It uses a metaphor. The world is a garden.
Okay.
The king is the wall surrounding the garden. And the thing that keeps the wall standing is justice.
It's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
But Al-Nawari takes it from poetry to something that sounds like behavioral economics.
He does.
He argues that the leader's internal mood, specifically their intention towards justice or greed, physically changes the output of the land.
It sounds like superstition, doesn't it? The king is sad, so the crops fail. But when you read the example he gives, the famous story of the cow, it reveals a very sophisticated understanding of market confidence.
Set the scene for us.
Okay, so this story is attributed to the time of Kisra, or Khusra, the Persian emperor. He's traveling through his lands, inspecting the territory. He stops at a farm and sees a cow being milked. And this cow it's a biological miracle. It's producing buckets and buckets of milk, just an insane yield.
The king sees this, and instead of thinking, wow, what a great asset for the community, his brain goes to revenue.
The tax brain activates. He doesn't say anything out loud. He just thinks to himself, if I taxed this specific farm more, if I changed the tax code to target this cow, imagine how much money I would have.
Greed enters his heart.
He decides internally to squeeze the asset.
And then the magic happens.
The milk dries up immediately. And the next time they milk the cow, there's nothing, or the yield crashes completely.
The king is confused. He asks the farmer, what happened? Did the cow get sick?
And the farmer, who represents the wisdom of the common people, says something incredible.
What does he say?
He says, the intention of the king changed. Injustice entered his heart. And when the king's intention turns to injustice, the blessings, baraka, of the earth vanish.
Okay, stop there. Because a modern listener hears that and thinks, that's a fairy tale. A king thinks a thought and a cow stops making milk. That's telepathy.
It is a fairy tale mechanism, but it's an economic reality. Let's decode it. The king's intention isn't telepathy. It's policy signaling.
Oh.
It's reputation.
So when the king starts looking at the farm with greedy eyes, the farmer notices. The people around him notice.
Exactly. The farmer senses the predation. He senses that the rules are about to change. He senses that his property rights are no longer secure.
Right.
And if you think the government, the wall, is about to collapse on you and take your wealth, what is your rational economic response?
You stop investing, you hide the wealth, you maybe even kill the cow and sell the meat to get the value out now before it's stolen.
That is the milk drying up. It's capital flight. It's a shrinkage in production caused by a lack of confidence in the regulatory environment.
So when the owner says the blessings vanished, he's describing a loss of market confidence.
That's precisely what he's describing.
That is mind-blowing. Justice is infrastructure. We usually think of infrastructure as roads and bridges. But Al-Nawari is saying, no, your fairness is a bridge. Your integrity is a road.
And if that collapses, commerce stops.
And what's the end of the story?
Notice the resolution. The king realizes his mistake. He repents. He changes his mind and decides to be just. And the milk returns.
Confidence is restored.
Baraka, or blessing in this context, looks a lot like sustainable growth. It's the surplus that comes when people feel safe enough to plant trees they won't harvest for 20 years.
Wow.
You cannot force a cow to give milk, and you cannot force an economy to grow. You can only create the conditions of justice where growth is possible.
So the leader's job isn't to make money. It's to make safety.
And the money follows the safety. But the king can't do this alone. He needs a team.
Which brings us to Section 3, the HR department.
Or the viziers, the governors, and the scribes.
Yes. The text leans heavily on a specific document here, which I know you were excited about. The letter to Malik al-Ashtar.
This is the Magna Carta of Islamic governance. It's a letter written by Ali ibn Abi Talib, the fourth caliph, to Malik al-Ashtar when he appointed him governor of Egypt.
And al-Nawari just pastes huge chunks of it into his book.
Because he considers it the gold standard. It's the absolute peak of this kind of advice.
There is a line in there that absolutely floored me. Ali is telling Malik how to treat his subjects. And remember, this is the 7th century. And he says, people are of two kinds. Either your brother in religion or your equal in creation.
Your equal in creation. Naziruka fi al-khalq. It is a stunning statement of universal humanism.
I mean,
he is explicitly telling the governor, you are not just the governor of the Muslims, you are the governor of the human beings.
Yeah.
Their rights do not stem from their faith, they stem from their existence.
That feels incredibly modern. I mean, we're still arguing about inclusion today, and here is a text from the 600s laying it out.
He follows it up with a warning against the wolf mentality. He says, do not act like a predator toward your citizens, thinking their consumption is your prize.
That connects right back to the cow story.
It does. It's the same principle. The governor cannot view the citizens as prey. You are not a wolf eating sheep. You are a shepherd protecting them.
So it's a total shift in mindset.
The shift in mindset is total. If you view your employees or your citizens as resources to be extracted, you are a predator. If you view them as a responsibility to be stewarded, you are a leader.
So how do you pick the people to help you do this? The viziers. The text has some very specific and honestly somewhat controversial advice on hiring.
Oh, yes. The most famous rule is the no yes men policy.
Right.
The best minister is the one who tells you the bitter truth, the one who makes you uncomfortable.
Which is easy to say, but so hard to do. It feels good to be agreed with.
That's why it's a discipline. But the controversial part you mentioned is the background check policy regarding former regimes.
Right. The text says, do not hire a minister who previously served a tyrant and helped them in their sins.
They carry moral baggage. That's the idea.
But let me play devil's advocate here. Suppose I'm a new just king. I've just taken over. There's a guy who worked for the previous evil king.
Okay.
He knows where the files are. He knows how the tax system works. He's efficient. Why wouldn't I hire him? He has the experience.
That is the pragmatic argument. But al-Nawari, quoting Ali, argues that the efficiency isn't worth the pollution. This person has normalized corruption. They have learned to navigate a system of injustice. If they helped a tyrant commit sins, they have a broken moral compass.
So you can't retrain them.
The risk is that they will retrain you. They will bring the bad habits, the shortcuts, and the predatory tactics into your clean administration.
So you're saying it's better to hire someone inexperienced but righteous and train them?
Yes, than to hire someone experienced but corrupt. It's an argument for culture fit over skill fit.
That is a bold HR strategy. It's saying that moral integrity is a hard skill, not a soft skill.
It's the hardest skill. And once you have these trusted advisors, the text pivots to how you handle information. The concept of kitman al-sir, keeping secrets.
This part felt a little paranoid to me. Trust no one. Keep your goals hidden.
It's not paranoia, it's statecraft. The text advises that while your values like justice should be transparent, your tactics and strategies should be opaque.
What's the logic there?
If you want something done, keep the ultimate goal hidden until the moment of execution.
Give me a modern example.
Think about a negotiation or a merger. If you announce to the world, I absolutely must buy company X at any price, what happens?
The price goes up, or a competitor jumps in to block you.
Exactly. Or within your own team, if you announce, I am thinking of firing the VP of marketing, the politicking starts immediately. People take sides. The work stops.
Okay, I get it.
A leader preserves their optionality by keeping their counsel. You don't show your hand until you are ready to play the card.
So, be loud about your principles, but quiet about your moves.
That's a great way to summarize it.
There's one last group the HR department needs to worry about. The text calls them the lowest class.
Yes. The poor, the disabled, the people who cannot speak for themselves.
This is the ultimate test of the equal in creation concept, isn't it?
It is. The ruler is personally responsible for those who cannot reach him.
It says the ruler must set aside his ego and listen to them directly. This is the undercover boss moment.
It is. The fear is that the viziers, your middle management, will filter the data. They will tell you, sire, the people are happy, the harvest is good.
Because they want to look competent.
Of course. The king must have a mechanism to bypass his own bureaucracy and check the reality on the ground.
Because if the vulnerable are being crushed and the king doesn't know,
The king is still responsible. Ignorance is not an excuse. Remember the first prerequisite, ilm, knowledge. You are responsible for knowing what is happening in the darkest corners of your kingdom.
heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Indeed. It is a burden, not a prize.
We've got the resume, the cow, and the team. Now we need to act. Section 4 is about strategy and resolve. Hazm and azm.
These are two rhyming Arabic words that carry a lot of weight. Hazm translates to firmness, prudence, or resolve. It comes from a root word meaning to bind or to tie up.
The text contrasts this with Tawani procrastination or slackness. There's a poetic line I highlighted. Opportunity passes like clouds.
It's so visual. You look up, the cloud is there. You look down to tie your shoe, you look up, the cloud is gone. The shape of the sky has changed.
In war, that's obvious. If you don't attack the flank when it's open, the gap closes. But how does this apply to management? Because earlier we said don't be rash, we said don't be angry. Now we're saying be fast. Isn't that a contradiction?
This is the crucial distinction between hazm, resolve, and rashness. Rashness is acting without thinking, usually driven by emotion.
Okay.
Hazm is thinking, concluding, and then acting immediately. It's the absence of analysis paralysis.
So the rash leader tweets at 3 a.m. because they are mad.
Right.
The resolute leader sees a shift in the market, analyzes the data, and pivots the whole company by Monday morning.
Exactly. The text warns that time itself is an enemy. If you leave a problem unsolved, it grows. If you leave a grievance unaddressed, it becomes a rebellion.
So hazm is the discipline of closing loops.
It is the act of binding the decision so it cannot come undone.
Binding the decision. I like that. It's about commitment.
And azm is the determination to see it through. Once you have tied the knot, hazm, you pull it tight, azm.
So Al-Nawari is basically telling us, do your homework, build your moral foundation, treat your people like human beings, but when it's time to move, move like lightning.
That is the ultimate ambition.
We have covered a lot of ground. We've journeyed through the 14th century, met the ghost of Muawiyah, and learned why you shouldn't tax a magic cow.
A busy day.
As we wrap this up, what does this all mean for the listener?
I think we need to look at the definition of the perfect leader Al-Nawari has constructed. It's a mix of a stern father, a generous host, and a sharp strategist.
It's a very high bar.
It is,
Bruh.
but the principles are scalable. Whether you are running a Fortune 500 company, a small team, or just managing your own family, the king's resume applies.
So don't lie.
Don't lie.
Don't be stingy.
Don't be stingy. Don't let your moods dictate your policy.
And most importantly,
Have the courage to listen to the person who tells you what you don't want to hear.
that no yes men rule really sticks with me. It's the safety valve for the whole system.
It is. But I want to leave the listener with that thought about the cow, the ecology of justice.
Yeah. We live in such a data-driven world. We obsess over mechanics, interest rates, conversion funnels, KPIs.
Right.
But Al-Nawari is suggesting something almost spiritual about economics.
He's asking a provocative question. Have we underestimated the tangible economic impact of simply having a leader with a good heart?
A good heart. It sounds soft.
It sounds soft, but the text argues it is the hardest variable of all. Does the milk dry up in our companies simply because the workforce senses that the CEO is greedy? Does innovation stall because people don't trust the wall to protect them?
That is a thought to chew on. Maybe the best growth hack isn't a new algorithm.
What if it's not?
Maybe it's just not being a jerk.
It's a 700-year-old strategy, but looking around at the world today, it might be exactly what we need.
I'm going to go check on my team and maybe buy them lunch. Generosity.
Baraka, my friend. Baraka.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.